Why do we let one rude comment ruin our entire day while ignoring 100 good ones? The truth is, most people don't control their emotions. Their emotions control them. Have you noticed how quick we are to react and how rarely we actually think before we do? In a world that rewards outrage, mastering your emotions makes you powerful. What if I told you that emotional control isn't about feeling less? It's about feeling smarter. The Stoics knew this secret over 2,000 years ago, and it's just as true today. Welcome to StoicCraft, where ancient Stoic wisdom meets modern life challenges. Here, we take the timeless lessons of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus and turn them into practical tools you can use every day to stay calm, think clearly, and lead yourself with strength, no matter what life throws at you. Have you ever noticed how, in a split second, your emotions can take the wheel and drive your actions before you even realize it? One moment you're calm. The next, a wave of anger, fear, or frustration crashes over you. It's a human experience we all share, but here's the real question. How do we flip the script? How do we become the ones steering our emotions, instead of letting them steer us? The Stoics believed that true power doesn't come from controlling the world. It comes from mastering yourself. Imagine a life where your emotions no longer dictate your behavior, where frustration, disappointment, or even anger can show up without pulling you into a spiral. The goal isn't to erase emotions that would make us less human. The goal is to master them. Emotional control is a skill, not a gift you're born with. Like learning a language or training in martial arts, it requires consistent practice, discipline, and the courage to challenge habits you've carried for years. It's about rewiring your automatic responses so you no longer react blindly, but instead make calm, deliberate choices. That's what we're going to dive into today: how to rise above emotional storms and keep your inner peace. No matter what chaos life throws your way, by the end of this journey, you'll have a practical roadmap for building emotional resilience, the ability to pause before reacting, and to respond from a place of clarity and strength. Lesson 1. Emotions are not the enemy, your response is. The Stoics never taught us to suppress emotions. They taught us to master them. Seneca famously said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Most of our emotional pain isn't from the event itself, it's from our interpretation of it. Think of it like walking through a rainstorm. You can't control the rain, but you can choose how you face it. You can run for shelter, put on a raincoat, or stand there soaking in misery. The same is true for anger, fear, or disappointment. These feelings may appear without warning, but how you deal with them is fully in your control. The Stoics compared emotional mastery to sailing. A skilled sailor doesn't panic when the winds shift. They adjust their sails. Your mind works the same way, wired to react based on your past, but capable of learning new ways forward through awareness and discipline. Instead of instantly snapping back at an insult or exploding in frustration, train yourself to pause. Breathe, reassess, ask, am I reacting as the best version of myself right now? This small pause creates space that allows you to respond rather than be consumed. And when you face a setback, try reframing it. Instead of saying, "This is a disaster," "This is a challenge I can navigate and learn from." Your inner dialogue shapes your reality more than you realize. Self-awareness is the key. If you catch yourself spiraling into negativity, step back and ask, what is in my control right now? If you can't change the event, focus on your interpretation and your next action. Keeping a journal can help. Record what triggers you, how you react, and what you could do better. Over time, patterns will emerge, and with them, opportunities to break free from automatic reactions. Mindfulness is another critical tool. Staying grounded in the present moment keeps emotions from hijacking your thinking. Observe your thoughts as if you were an outsider, curious but detached from their intensity. This perspective helps you judge whether your reaction is justified or just a habit. Each evening, spend a few minutes reviewing your day. Ask yourself, did I let my emotions control me today? How could I have handled things better? Over time, these reflections will strengthen your ability to move from passive reaction to active. Self-governance. Emotions are not here to rule you, they're signals. Your job is to decide how to respond to those signals in a way that reflects who you want to be. Lesson 2. The power of perspective. Epictetus taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The same event can make one person furious and another unfazed. Why? Because our beliefs shape our emotions. If you believe losing your job is a catastrophe, you'll feel despair. But if you see it as an opportunity, you'll feel liberated. The event itself is neutral. It's the meaning you attach to it that changes everything. Think of two people stuck in the same traffic jam. One is fuming, leaning on their horn, feeling their blood pressure spike. The other is calm, using the time to listen to an audiobook or reflect on their day. The traffic didn't change, their perspective did. Your emotions follow your perception. Shift your perspective, and you shift your emotional world. Shakespeare once wrote, there is nothing, either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. The Stoics would agree completely. What if you trained yourself to see every setback not as a dead end, but as a disguised opportunity? Losing a job could be the opening to find a better one. A breakup could become the beginning of a deeper journey into self-discovery. Even failure can serve as a stepping stone toward growth if you choose to frame it that way. History's greatest leaders and thinkers shared this perspective. They didn't let setbacks crush them. They transformed them into fuel for growth and reinvention. Picture a world-class athlete who suffers an injury. Instead of drowning in self-pity, they use recovery time to sharpen their mental game, study strategies, and return stronger than ever. The same principle applies to our own lives. Maybe a financial setback forces you to finally master budgeting, and years later you find yourself wealthier and wiser because of it. Maybe a painful rejection pushes you to work on yourself, and eventually it leads you into a far more fulfilling relationship. Your emotional state is directly tied to the meaning you assign to challenges. This is where self-talk becomes powerful. If your inner voice keeps repeating, "This is unfair, this is the worst thing that could happen," your emotions will spiral in that direction. But if you shift your language to, "This is a lesson, and I will come out stronger," you begin to see adversity differently. To put this into practice, think about a recent disappointment. Instead of replaying what went wrong, ask, what lesson is hidden here? How can this make me stronger, wiser, or more resilient? Go a step further. Write down 3 examples from your past where something that seemed terrible ended up benefiting you in the long run. You might be surprised at how many times misfortune became a blessing in disguise. The more you train your mind to search for growth in adversity, the more natural it becomes. Next time something goes wrong, challenge yourself. How could this be an opportunity? Write down 3 possible benefits of the challenge. This simple act will start rewiring your perception, replacing helplessness with possibility. Lesson 3. The 5-second rule. Intercepting emotion before it controls you. Every time an emotion begins to rise, whether it's anger, anxiety, or sadness, you have a brief window of about 5 seconds to catch it before it takes over. If you miss that window, the emotion gathers momentum. Anger flares, sadness deepens, anxiety spirals. But here's the good news: you can stretch that window. You can learn to create a pause, giving yourself room to choose a better response. The first step is becoming an observer. The moment you feel emotion building, take a deep breath and mentally step back. Ask yourself, what exactly is triggering this? Is this emotion justified, or is it just a conditioned reaction? Will holding on to this help me, or is it just a reflex? By questioning the emotion, you slow it down and weaken its grip. One of the most effective ways to build this skill is through controlled exposure. Put yourself in situations that normally trigger you, but in a safe, intentional way. If traffic frustrates you, drive during rush hour with the sole goal of practicing calm. If confrontation makes you anxious, role-play difficult conversations with a trusted friend. This deliberate exposure strengthens your ability to pause instead of react. Visualization is another powerful tool. Before entering a potentially stressful situation, picture yourself handling it with composure. See yourself pausing, choosing your words carefully, and walking away with your dignity and peace intact. The brain responds to mental rehearsal almost as strongly as it does to real experience, so this practice makes it far more likely you'll respond well in the moment. And then there's mindfulness. Training your mind to slow down when nothing is at stake makes it easier to slow down when everything is at stake. Meditation, deep breathing, or simply paying attention to your surroundings can build the habit of pausing before reacting. Finally, make journaling a daily habit. At the end of the day, note the moments when you succeeded in intercepting your emotions and the moments you didn't. What triggered you? How did you initially feel? How did you respond? Over time, these reflections reveal patterns and help you strengthen your ability to create that crucial pause. The more you practice, the more you'll notice that emotions no longer sweep you away so easily. That 5-second window becomes 10 seconds, then 30. Eventually, you'll find yourself choosing your response with a calm clarity that once felt impossible. You can train yourself to expand that initial 5-second pause into 10, 20, or even 30 seconds. That short moment of reflection before reacting can be the dividing line between regret and wisdom. This isn't just about preventing a negative reaction, it's about replacing it with something constructive. Instead of meeting anger with impulsive words, you can transform it into a deep breath, a moment of stillness, or even a calm smile that disarms tension. To build this skill, integrate conscious reflection with mindfulness. When you notice a strong emotional reaction brewing, observe what's happening inside you. Where is the tension gathering in your body? Are your thoughts racing? Are you clenching your jaw, tightening your shoulders, or holding your breath? By naming these sensations, you're already creating distance between you and the emotion, making it easier to step in before it controls you. A powerful tool here is structured self-dialogue. Ask yourself, is my reaction proportional to the situation? Will acting on this emotion improve things or make them worse? What alternative response could serve me better? This inner questioning shifts you from reactive mode into deliberate choice. Physical techniques can also anchor you. Yoga, slow breathing exercises, or a quick walk around the block can release emotional tension and give your mind space to reset. Over time, these small choices stack up into a quiet but undeniable transformation. You'll stop being a victim of your emotions and start being the architect of your responses. Emotional mastery doesn't mean suppressing feelings. It means creating the space to choose how you express them. As you strengthen this practice, it will start to feel natural. Soon, emotional control won't be something you aim for. It will be part of who you are. And when strong feelings rise, you'll find yourself asking a single, powerful question. Is this worth my peace? More often than not, the answer will be no. Lesson 4. The dichotomy of control. Focus on what's in your hands. One of the most transformative Stoic principles is the dichotomy of control. Focus only on what is within your power and let go of everything else. You can't control the past. You can't control what others think, say, or do. You can't control the tides of fortune or the twists of life, but you can control your actions, your mindset, and your values. The Stoics taught that separating what's within your control from what's not is the gateway to peace. Too often, people exhaust themselves trying to micromanage the uncontrollable, obsessing over other people's opinions, replaying old mistakes, or resisting change. But once you shift your attention inward, directing energy toward your choices and your attitude, you take back your power. Think of it like standing at the ocean's edge, trying to push back the waves with your hands. It's pointless. But if you learn to ride the waves, to swim with their flow, you stop fighting reality and start navigating it with purpose. The moment you internalize this, life changes. Rejection loses its sting when you see that someone else's opinion is outside your control. Setbacks no longer crush you when you realize failure doesn't define you. Your response does. You stop feeling powerless because you finally understand that while you can't control the world, you can always control yourself. To apply this, make a list of your current worries and split them into 2 columns. Within my control and outside my control. When frustration rises, return to that list and refocus only on the first column. The Stoics also practiced voluntary discomfort to reinforce their independence from circumstances. Seneca, for example, would sometimes sleep on the floor or wear simple clothing to remind himself that comfort is not the source of happiness. Practices like these train you to remain steady even when life removes its luxuries. Visualization is another tool. Mentally rehearse facing adversity with calm and clarity. Imagine walking into a difficult situation and responding with composure instead of reactivity. This mental preparation strengthens the pathways in your brain so that when the real challenge comes, you've already practiced choosing wisely. Ultimately, The dichotomy of control isn't about passively letting go, it's about strategic focus. It's about channeling your limited energy into what truly matters: your growth, your discipline, your peace. When you stop wasting energy on what you can't control, you free yourself to fully master what you can. You also grow far more resilient when you truly embrace the dichotomy of control. Challenges that once felt overwhelming now seem manageable because your focus narrows to the only territory you can truly govern: your thoughts, your choices, your actions. Instead of fearing an uncertain future, you prepare yourself to meet it with a steady mind, whatever it may hold. This mindset builds an emotional buffer, protecting you from unnecessary suffering and freeing you from the exhausting habit of wrestling with things you cannot change. With consistent practice, this principle becomes like a mental fortress, impervious to the noise, drama, and instability of the outside world. Over time, it gives you a level of calm that no external turbulence can penetrate. This is the heart of emotional freedom and the foundation of lasting inner strength. So the next time an emotional wave rises, ask yourself one question: is this within my control? If the answer is no, let it go. Redirect your energy toward the only arena that truly matters: how you think and how you act. Lesson 5. The art of preemptive thinking. Expect. Don't react. The Stoics practiced a discipline called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Marcus Aurelius would begin his mornings reminding himself that he would likely meet with rudeness, setbacks, and challenges before the day was through. By doing so, he robbed them of their power to shock or destabilize him. This practice is not about pessimism, it's about preparation. When you anticipate difficulties, you're not waiting for disaster with dread. You're building a calm, ready stance. Instead of being blindsided, you meet challenges as if you had already rehearsed for them. The mind, when preconditioned for adversity, reacts with measured composure rather than panic. You can apply this anywhere: before a high-stakes meeting, a tense conversation, or a big life change. Take a few minutes to picture the worst-case scenario and mentally rehearse a calm, principled response. This way, when something goes wrong, it feels familiar. You've already met it in your mind. One of the hidden benefits of premeditatio malorum is the acceptance it fosters. The Stoics didn't see hardships as personal insults from the universe, but as an inevitable part of life's current. Preparing for them stripped away the sting. The question was never if difficulties would come, but how they would be met. You can build this into your daily routine. Each morning, ask yourself, what obstacles might I face today? How will I choose to respond? This simple ritual helps prevent knee-jerk emotional reactions and reinforces your self-control. A practical way to deepen the habit is journaling. Write down potential challenges you may encounter: traffic delays, critical feedback, unexpected changes, and outline the calm, rational response you want to give. Later, review how things actually unfolded and adjust your strategy. Over time, you'll notice your emotional endurance increasing. You can also use role play in your mind. Imagine an argument, a rejection, or a disruption to your plans. Walk through how your ideal self would respond: measured, composed, and anchored. If you pair this with relaxation techniques like slow breathing or meditation, you'll start to condition your brain to associate obstacles with calmness instead of stress. This mindset replaces fear with readiness. You stop wishing for everything to go perfectly and start trusting yourself to handle imperfection well. In time, you'll see that the goal is not to avoid difficulty. It's to be so mentally fortified that no hardship can shake your inner peace. Tomorrow morning, try this. Picture the emotional triggers that might test you. Maybe it's criticism from a colleague, a delayed plan, or a personal disappointment. Then visualize yourself responding with poise. When you expect difficulty, you meet it on your terms, calm, steady, and unshaken. Lesson 6. The discipline of detachment. Observe. Don't absorb emotions become most destructive when we start to believe they are who we are, when anger, sadness, or fear fuses with our identity. The Stoics taught that instead of being swept away by emotions, we should step back and observe them, almost like a scientist studying a natural phenomenon. Imagine anger as a cloud drifting through the sky of your mind. You don't fight it and you don't chase it, you simply watch it pass. Some clouds are dark and heavy, others light and fleeting. All eventually move on. The same is true for your emotions. They are temporary visitors, not permanent residents unless you invite them to stay. Think of each emotion as a guest in your home. Some arrive without warning, some linger too long, but none can take up residence unless you hand them the keys. The Stoics encourage us to acknowledge these guests, learn from them, and then let them leave without resistance. A simple but powerful way to strengthen this mindset is to create a mental mantra. This feeling is temporary. It does not define me. Repeating this in moments of intensity creates distance between you and the emotion, helping you see it for what it is, a state, not your identity. Mindfulness is an essential companion to detachment. By staying grounded in the present moment, you can recognize emotions as they arise and allow them to flow through without letting them dominate. Whether through meditation, deep breathing, or mindful journaling, these practices sharpen your ability to witness emotions without being swallowed by them. Body scanning is another effective tool. By mentally checking in with different parts of your body, you can notice where tension gathers when certain emotions appear. This strengthens the link between your mind and body, giving you more awareness and more control. Proactive self-reflection also builds this discipline. Set aside a few minutes each day to examine your emotional triggers and your reactions. Over time, you'll start to see patterns, moments where you overreact, times when you remained calm, and the habits that helped you handle things better. Goal is not to suppress emotion, but to let it move through you naturally, like clouds passing in the wind. The next time you feel overwhelmed, try saying, "I am experiencing anger, but I am not anger itself." This small shift changes everything. It puts space between you and the feeling, loosening its grip and restoring your ability to choose your response. Lesson 7. The power of reason. Using logic to overcome emotion. The Stoics believed that when emotions threaten to overpower us, logic is our anchor. They didn't deny that we feel fear, anger, or sadness, but they understood that these feelings often distort reality. When you feel a strong emotion rising, ask yourself, what evidence do I have for this feeling? Often you'll find that your mind is predicting disaster, taking something personally, or exaggerating the threat. One powerful way to break this pattern is to create distance between yourself and the emotion by imagining you're advising a friend. If someone you care about was in your exact situation, what would you tell them? This shift in perspective helps you avoid knee-jerk reactions and instead respond with fairness, balance, and reason. Structured reasoning is another powerful tool. Write down your thoughts and challenge them. Is this thought based on fact or assumption? What is the most likely outcome, not the worst-case scenario? How has past experience proven this fear wrong before? This process helps you dismantle exaggerated emotions and rebuild a more accurate, grounded understanding of the situation. It's also important to watch out for cognitive distortions, mental habits, like black and white thinking, catastrophizing, or assuming you know what others think without evidence. By spotting these distortions, you can reframe them into clear, rational perspectives. The Stoics also practiced what I call the zoom out exercise. Step back mentally and ask, will this matter in 5 days, 5 months, 5 years? Time has a way of shrinking what feels urgent into something far less significant. Finally, combine reason with movement. If your mind is clouded, take a brisk walk, practice slow breathing, or write out your thoughts. Physical action grounds you, making it easier for logic to guide your next step. Logic is like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it becomes. By practicing these methods regularly, you train your mind to respond with clarity, even when emotions run high. Over time, reason becomes your default operating system, keeping you anchored in truth instead of being carried away by the tides of impulse. Lesson 8. The Power of Pause. Let time cool emotions. Seneca once advised, the greatest remedy for anger is delay. And he was right. When we react instantly, emotions are in the driver's seat. But when we pause, we put ourselves back in control. That heated email, that sharp retort in an argument, that split-second decision you'll regret, each of these can be diffused by a simple act of waiting. A pause may last seconds, minutes, or even a day, but in that space, something powerful happens. Logic has time to step forward. An impulsive reaction loses its grip. Think of it as a mental circuit breaker. When emotions surge, the pause interrupts the current, preventing it from flooding your actions. This momentary restraint turns potential regret into measured, thoughtful action. The pause is especially valuable in high-pressure or heated situations. In the middle of a tense conversation, silence can be your greatest ally. Rather than escalating, you create room for composure. Rather than blurting out words you can't take back, you allow your response to form with intention. Practical tools. Make this easier. Deep breathing. Inhale slowly, exhale deeply, and repeat, counting to 10. It sounds simple, but it buys precious seconds for your brain to re-engage. Walking away, physically removing yourself from the situation, can break the emotional momentum. Writing it down. Before you hit send or speak your mind, jot down your thoughts. Let them sit. Return later with fresh eyes. Even small, everyday pauses strengthen this habit. Waiting before responding to a rude stranger. Before answering unexpected criticism. Before reacting to a minor inconvenience. Over time, it becomes second nature. This is not just anger management, it's emotional discipline in every area of life. You begin to respond instead of react. You engage instead of retaliate. You preserve peace instead of fueling conflict. If possible, delay major emotional responses for hours. For bigger issues, give yourself a full day. Often, what feels urgent now will seem trivial tomorrow, and when it still matters after time has passed, you'll face it with clarity, not raw emotion. The art of the pause doesn't just change your decisions, it changes you. You move through the world calmer, wiser, and far more in control of your emotional destiny. Lesson 9. Daily emotional training. Building resilience like any skill worth having. Emotional control requires consistent training. The Stoics understood this well. Every night they practiced self-examination, a quiet, honest review of the day. Marcus Aurelius, for example, would reflect, "Where did I lose control today? How could I have handled that better?" This wasn't about guilt, it was about growth. They didn't just examine mistakes. They also acknowledged successes. If they remained calm in the face of provocation, they made a mental note of it. By celebrating moments of restraint, they reinforced the habit of composure. You can adopt the same practice today. Journal your emotions daily. Write down moments where you felt triggered, how you responded, and what you could improve. Identify patterns. Which situations tend to get under your skin? Which people? Which words? Plan alternative responses. If a similar trigger happens tomorrow, how will you handle it differently? Over time, these small acts of reflection compound into lasting emotional discipline. You begin to see your progress, not as a sudden transformation, but as steady refinement. Stoics also paired reflection with visualization. In the morning, they mentally prepared for the day's challenges. Marcus Aurelius famously began his mornings by imagining the rude, the selfish, and the difficult people he might encounter and deciding in advance not to be disturbed by them. This proactive approach turns emotional control from a reactive skill into a daily readiness ritual. Instead of being surprised by challenges, you're expecting them and you're ready. The key is consistency. Just as physical training shapes your body, emotional training shapes your mind. Each day of reflection, journaling, and visualization builds a stronger foundation so that when life delivers its inevitable blows, you meet them with steady hands and a calm mind. Lesson 10. The ultimate freedom. Emotional independence. The highest aim of emotional control is freedom. When you reach this point, no one, not circumstances, not people, not even your own impulses can pull the strings of your emotions. Without your permission, you become untouchable, not because life has suddenly become easy, but because you have cultivated the strength to remain steady when it isn't. Mastery over emotion doesn't mean you stop feeling. Far from it. It means you feel deeply, but with awareness, discipline, and intention. You notice anger, but choose patience. You feel fear, but act with courage. You acknowledge sadness, but find endurance and perseverance. Marcus Aurelius put, "It's simply you have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. And when you truly grasp that truth, your power expands beyond discipline. It transforms into an unshakable inner peace. This is not about shutting the world out. It's about building order within yourself. The chaos of the outside world may roar, but inside you remain anchored. Challenges no longer derail you. Setbacks no longer define you. External pressures no longer dictate your mental state. When you arrive at this level of emotional independence, you're free to live according to your values, not according to the fleeting moods of the moment or the shifting opinions of others. This is not a weekend project, it is a lifelong practice. But the rewards are priceless: clarity, peace, and the kind of confidence that cannot be taken away. How to build this freedom in your daily life? Keep a Stoic journal. Every night, reflect. What emotions controlled me today? How could I have responded better? Over time, this builds self-awareness and emotional steadiness. Practice controlled discomfort. Intentionally place yourself in small, manageable challenges, like taking the cold shower, fasting for a few hours, or handling a minor inconvenience without complaint. This builds resilience before the real tests arrive. Surround yourself with growth-minded people. Seek out those who challenge your thinking, sharpen your patience, and model self-discipline. Your environment will either strengthen or weaken your control. Every moment of your day is an opportunity to practice. The way you respond to criticism, the way you handle pressure, the way you choose patience over frustration, all of these decisions shape the person you become. True strength isn't about domination. It isn't about proving someone wrong or winning every argument. It's about ruling yourself. And in a world where reactivity is the default, that kind of mastery makes you rare. So the next time life challenges you, tell yourself, I control my mind. I control my emotions. Nothing outside of me has power over me unless I allow it. That is emotional freedom. That is the Stoic path. And once you've experienced it, you'll never want to live any other way. If you found value in today's lesson, drop a comment below. I choose control. This will be your public commitment to mastering your emotions starting today. And if you want more, check out our playlist, Master Your Mind the Stoic Way, for step-by-step lessons on building unshakable inner strength. Remember, every day is a chance to train your mind. Stay strong, stay stoic,